Hi, and thanks for taking the time to check this out. In a few moments, I'm going to share with you the #1 secret top-flight property investors and your competition don't want you to know about, because it'll make things so much harder for them. This one devastatingly simple strategy has been responsible for revolutionising thousands of property investors' lives, newbie and experienced alike. And the best of it is, by the end of this series of videos, you're going to have the blueprint for applying it immediately. So let me ask you a question. What if by adopting one simple strategy, you could start your investing in property right now? Even if you can't get a mortgage and don't have the deposits. What would that do for you? What if by adopting one simple strategy, you were able to increase your returns by 50% or even 100%? What if by adopting one simple strategy, you were able to do more deals and not have to pass on so many opportunities? What would that do for you? Perhaps you'd be able to get more time for yourself and reduce your working hours. Go from full-time to part-time, or even sack the boss completely. Perhaps you'd be able to get that super sleek, luxurious car you've always imagined yourself driving around in, but never really believed you'd be able to afford. Or finally buy that home in the country with a heavy wooden front door, low dark beams, French doors opening out onto a manicured lawn from a rustic kitchen brimming with the aromas of your favourite stew, jam-packed with vegetables freshly picked from your garden. Perhaps it could mean you could throw off your shackles and escape for a well-earned break, actually get to feel genuine Mediterranean sun soaking into your bronze skin on a holiday this year. Or perhaps take the family to the Alps, throw on the skis and carve your way through the soft, pillowy virgin snow to the bottom of the piste. But before I reveal this tried, tested and proven formula for giving you all that, can I introduce myself? My name is Brett Smart, and a few years ago I was in exactly the same situation as you, possibly worse. I had just folded my company and almost been forced into bankruptcy. I knew I needed to focus on rebuilding a future for my little family, and that I wanted to do it through property. The only problem, I had no dosh and I couldn't get any credit. In the past I'd built up a reasonably sized portfolio between 2003 and 2007, but the strategy I'd used was not going to work this time. It had taken deposits, the ability to get mortgages, and at a time when the banks had been happy to lend to a chimp. What chance did I have 4 years on? Anyway, I studied, I went on courses, I read loads of books, I spoke with hundreds of investors, and finally discovered a strategy which would work for me. So over the next 3 years, I built up a portfolio worth 3.6 million, which paid me a handsome 4.3k per month. That strategy gave me all the benefits of property ownership without the downside, without the maintenance costs, without the debt, without the bad tenants. It was perfect. Now, at last, I had no intention of sharing this information. It was working for me, and I thought I'd just carry on. But when people started coming to me asking for help, I felt I really needed to step up. So in the last few years, I've helped hundreds of entrepreneurial go-getters implement my system and achieve the freedom they so craved and deserved. And in today's video, I'm going to share some of my best stuff right now. Okay, so what we're going to have a look at here is what you'll discover. What is the rent to buy strategy? Why there's so much demand? Why there's so much supply? And the variations of the rent to buy strategy. But first of all, let's look at what the rent to buy strategy is. So imagine there's someone who wants to sell their home. It's been on the market for ages. Perhaps it hasn't sold because the price is too high. Maybe they're in negative equity, or it needs work doing to it. Perhaps they've run out of time and they desperately need to move quickly. In the traditional house sale model, their options are limited. They can stick it out, they can reduce the price if they can, it may be a negative equity. They can pay for the work to be done, if work needs doing, if they can afford it. If they're desperate to move, then perhaps they just have to move and continue to pay 2 mortgages. So for many, these options are none too comforting. All they really want to do is move on with their lives. But imagine if someone came along and could give them what they want, who could structure a deal that helped them move quickly, got rid perhaps of the monthly payments, perhaps pay for the work that needed doing, or reverse the negative equity. And could do that offering them a fair market value. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? Look, when someone's selling a house, they always want the best possible price in the quickest possible time so they can move on with their lives. But you know what? This is not how the market works. You can have the best price, but you'll need to wait for the right buyer to come along. You can have a super quick house sale, but you're going to have to drop the price. The rent-to-buy system offers them to have the best of both worlds. But here's the catch. They need to wait to get all the money. That's what the rent-to-buy system enables you to do. But wait, we're not finished yet. We're only halfway through. The next step is to find a way to make money from the deal. And it's actually easier than you might think. Various options exist, but a common one is to find someone to sell it to. So you've agreed a sale price with a vendor. You've agreed the term over which you're going to buy the property. You've agreed monthly payments. So you find someone who can't get a mortgage, has some money to put down, and can afford the monthly payments, and you sell them the house over the term. It's as simple as that. They are ecstatic. You find someone, they've got a new home, they put some money down, they make the monthly payments, and they pay off the balance at the end of the term. That's the structure. And then the next step, you put some paperwork in place. So that's the essence of the rent-to-buy strategy. Now let's go and have a look at why I absolutely love it and why I think it's imperative that every single property investor, whether you're new to the game or experienced, could benefit from this. So the first reason is the most flexible strategy out there. What you can do with the rent-to-buy strategy as a base will simply amaze you. And later on in this video, I'm going to tell you more about that. You can use it if you've got bad credit and can't get a mortgage. This is massive as it levels the playing field. You can use it if you've got no money. Again, this is a massive thing as it also levels the playing field. And if you've got money, you can use it to make more money. There's no banks needed. You've got no maintenance costs because the people who are moving into the property, the tenant buyers, they take responsibility for your maintenance costs, which means that you've got great tenants. You don't have to worry about having bad tenants because from their perspective, they're buying the property. It's theirs. It is one of the most powerful linking strategies. So you can use the rent-to-buy system to either secure properties or to increase your return on investment by putting in place a tenant buyer. You can use it in lots of different ways to secure properties so you can flip them and move them on. And I'll be going into that in more detail in one of the other videos. Now, here's the thing. The only element, really, holding you back is just having knowledge to put it all together. And, of course, having the balls to go and do it. So, look, there really are no excuses. But now, let's go on and look at why there's so much demand. A home is a birthright in the UK. We've got the 13th highest home ownership in Europe. And you know, for loads of people, there's no end in sight. There are so many desperate first-time buyers. 1 in 4 think they'll never be able to get on the property ladder. You know, very few can't qualify for mortgages. You know, they've got poor credit. They've got no savings. There's a poor pension outlook as well. If you were born after 1972, then it's likely you'll have to work till you're 80 before you can expect to retire. 1 in 5 adults have made no provision for their retirement. So people are looking for ways to create additional income to cater for these pension deficits. And rent-to-buy is a fantastic way to do that. So that's why there's so much demand. Now, why is there so much supply? Well, we all know 2007, 2008 was a big housing market bubble, and it was so easy to get finance. Many homeowners were getting 110% mortgages. That means that in this day and age, they could be well overextended. There are a lot of novice investors and speculators coming into the market. As the economic climate changes, they're going to be looking to exit the market. You've got Northern Rock and Mortgage Express have a really aggressive loan book consolidation policy,
which mean basically that they're actively pursuing landlords with underperforming portfolios. These landlords are going to be keen or open to the idea of perhaps offloading some of their portfolio. Let's have a look at some of the sellers' motives. As I mentioned, there are a lot of speculators and novice investors looking to get out of the property market. In fact, just a few days ago, I was offered a small portfolio of 8 properties from an investor, and all he wanted from me was £1. It's a great way to also stop repossessions, and also works if you're trying to reverse negative equity. In fact, you can buy a property which is in negative equity for £1, and you can still turn a good 15, maybe 20 grand over the term of that contract, while still paying down the negative equity. An interesting sector are the people who are looking to downsize, and there are plenty of people whose kids are left home, they're living in massive houses, they're rattling around inside them, and because where the market is at the moment, at least in the Midlands, they're really struggling to shift their properties. So you can use a rent-to-buy strategy to help them move on with their lives without having to sell at massive discount. And as ever, there are always the people who are looking to relocate and need to be gone by a certain date. Finally, there are those that just want a good price but don't need all the money right now. There are plenty of options there. Let's move on and have a look at some of the variations. We've got the negative equity reversal, which I've already mentioned, which is where you take a property which is a negative equity and you basically agree a period of time of which you're going to pay down that negative equity until such time that the property it has been reversed. We've got something called a some now, some later, and this is absolutely fantastic. This is a way that you agree a purchase price with someone, you give them maybe 60, 70% today, and then the balance further on down the line. And that might be 5 years, it might be 7 years, or even 10 years in some instances. But, for many people, that really works well for them. And of course, in the interim, you continue to make interest payments on the loan, which is in the house, and that property, that loan is secured against the property, so it's a really cute way of wrapping things up. The Fix Me Up and I'm Yours, I love, and this is a fantastic way to either package deals for people who have got builders, people who are used to renovating properties, and there are plenty of builders, because of their self-employed status, can't get mortgages, so they love these particular types of opportunities. Well, in essence, what you do, you find a property which needs work doing to it, you agree your purchase price, you then sell it on to the builder, they come in, they've got 2-3 months to do it up, and then once it's done up, you're going to sell the property onto them for the new price, and then you get the opportunity to make some money in the middle. 10% more is very similar to the negative equity reversal, where you can literally afford, as long as the term's there, 7 to 10 years, you can easily pay an extra 10% above market value for a property and still make money. The joint venture works in a number of different ways, but one of the ways is where you partner with a property investor, perhaps who's got a small portfolio or a portfolio, and they're struggling to shift that portfolio, or perhaps they've got a lot of voids. And what you'd look to do is basically you put the rent-to-buy strategy in place on their behalf, and you would take a portion of the getting started money, a portion of the monthly overpayment, and indeed you could have a portion of the back-end money as well. So the joint venture is a very exciting way to use this, the rent-to-buy strategy. The other thing it also enables you to do is, as long as you're sourcing deals, you can package them, and you can just sit in the middle. You can be a sourcer, and you can make a very good living out of that. As I said as well, it's also the ultimate linking strategy. And perhaps the best way I can explain this to you is just to give you a quick example. Not so long ago, I ended up helping one of my clients purchase the property using a option. So they secured it, they then moved in, they did some renovation work to it, they were in and out in about 6 weeks. During that time, they'd added 130 grand's worth of value because he bought it or agreed the purchase price sort of on a below market value basis. He then got the property revalued at the higher price, and he ended up purchasing it using a bridging loan, which meant that by the time he'd totally done the whole thing, he didn't have any money in the deal. He'd used a lease option, and then he's turned it into an HMO. And the sort of money that he's made on that is eye-watering. So there's some of the variations, and in future videos I will be going into greater detail about those. So you're probably asking yourself, if it's so simple, why isn't everyone doing it? And you know what? People are lazy. And like anything worthwhile, this takes work and it takes effort. It takes work to learn the system, then work to apply it. And for many people, it's just too much effort. But here's the thing, if you're really determined to build yourself a portfolio and you like to either maximize your returns, or you want to get in and you can't get credit, or you can't get mortgages, then this is the strategy which will help you do that. I'm often asked, is it legal? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Otherwise, the solicitors I use to do all my transactions wouldn't be able to do it. Another question I'm often asked is, if it really works, why am I telling you about it for free? And you know what? For some of you, what I show you will be enough. But for others, they may want a bit of help. Now, if you fall into the first category, that's great, and I sincerely hope you do wonders with it. But if you want a bit of help setting things up, then later on, I'll be telling you how you can get it. It's your choice.
Now, there's another video coming. It'll be up in a few days. Keep your eyes open for the announcement email that'll be dropping in your inbox soon. I'm going to go into the exact steps you need to find rent-to-buy properties and 4 of the simplest types of rent-to-buy opportunity to keep a lookout for. And finally, I'm going to share with you a few case studies so that we can bring this all to life. But for now, that's it. Please leave your comments below. If you've got any questions, then drop them on there too, and I'll respond. Speak to you soon.